I'm joined by Shahzam after what was the largest upset in Valorant history as Crew take down Sentinels to move on to playoffs. Shaz, I imagine that that's absolutely heartbreaking for you guys.
It's the worst way to end the year. Um, Sometimes you could put all the work in the world that you feel like, but if you don't deliver on match day, then you don't deserve to advance.
Let's start things from the beginning of the series. You guys got a chance to play Fracture because Crew picked it into you. It's been a map that they have wanted to play, and it looked like you guys were pretty prepared. Playing Solo Viper, you had an opportunity to play Breach, and you asserted your will on the game right from the beginning.
Yeah. So Fracture was like kind of our sleeper pick this tournament. We obviously if teams wanted to pick it versus us, we were welcome to it because in practices we felt really comfortable. I think maybe we had like one scrim in NA for Fracture, and it was mostly like theory crafting until we got to Europe, and we were like grinding practices, and we were doing really well on the map, and we felt super comfortable with like just like a system that we made. So we were confident going into that map.
And then the next two maps are good ones for you as well, really. I mean, especially Haven. You've been at various times throughout the year considered the best team in the world on that map, along with being the best team in the world, just full stop at various times throughout the year. You go 8-4 up. Your defense is usually fantastic on that map. And you've had sick move over to Sky, where that was looking very clean on your Haven games too. What do you feel went wrong with you, with the team, that is, to not be able to close out an 8-4 lead?
I feel like a lot of things went wrong, but like I think the biggest thing was like people started hesitating. We knew exactly where they're going every time on our defense. We had the reads, but the rotates were late every time. You know, they're hitting us with fast strats, and we weren't playing like I don't know, we just weren't playing to stay alive. We weren't rotating fast enough. We were hesitating. We weren't picking up gaps. Just it was a pretty big failure, honestly. I feel like we should have closed that map out any other time we play it, but we failed.
It seemed like those fast strats were really causing issues for you. Something we were noticing is that you were having to play retake a lot when usually you guys like to actually defend the site itself and get those rotates coming in. What kind of strategic adaptations did you make towards the end when it started working a bit better for you, when you started getting those rounds back on the board?
Yeah, so Haven's really like, the defaulting is A main and garage, and so obviously, fast shots that doesn't really matter. Like you can control one of those chokes and you know immediately if they're gonna like heavy hit it. So we started setting up Tyson opping A, kind of like they did, because either they were heavy going A or they weren't even defaulting it. So he could have that info and we could rotate off. But the people playing on the sites that needed to buy time for rotates weren't necessarily playing in spots where they could stay alive or getting off, or like people weren't rotating fast enough. It's hard to say because the map is so wide and like I'm just like running back and forth to see. But when I rewatch it, I'm sure it's like there's like a I don't know, miscomms, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's pretty bad performance from us.
There was also a heartbreak around towards the end for any Sentinels fans, and I'm sure for yourselves as well. A 2v3, there's some great plays by TenZ defending the A side, I think, and they pivoted over to B, and then Nags just kind of came alive as you were trying to stop the plant going down on the B site. Is that, rounds like that, do they make a mental difference when it's so close towards the end? I feel like you guys are such a good team usually in those kind of situations. Your mentality is great. You've always been able to bounce back. Was there something different today, or was it just something in the air?
Yeah, I feel like we choked that round. Your specific round you're talking about, they went back to B. They had like 15 seconds left. We smoked from B. We knew that the guy top sewer heard them running away from A lobby, and we didn't have a rotate fast enough. The guy runs through the smoke, takes a 1v1. They get the bomb plant. Like you're in a position to lose the round all of a sudden, even though you have man advantage and they are low time. It's like that rotate should have happened immediately. We knew, and we hesitated. That's like a perfect example of the round where we're like, we just fell apart, and it's heartbreaking.
You come out of Haven then with all of that knowledge that things are looking a little wonky, but you've still got a pretty decent map coming up towards split. You've recently changed your split composition. So first question, what's the mentality of the team looking like? If you guys felt like you threw away an 8-4 lead on Haven, were people able to get that mental reset heading into map 3?
Yeah, I think so. Like it's weird because we lost split here. But I feel like we were both games we lost, we were in positions to win and we choked. Like I feel like we had a good game plan, we had a good idea what they were doing and figured it out, but then we didn't play like situationals correctly. It was like I don't know, fundamentals kind of fell apart, I guess. We lost pistol, we lost both pistols. We still had an 8-4 half, and then we lost first gun round. They did a bit of a G strat on us that like caught us off guard. Where they like fast ran up mid. Me and Tyson were both getting in the gravity well, and it was well played by them. Honestly, they had good tempo. We're not used to playing teams like that. Most of the prac we've gone against were like pretty slow teams. but we should have adapted. And I don't know, there's like we were trying to be proactive too, and it just fell apart. Like situationals, I think post plants on B, some certain rounds just didn't go our way. I need to rewatch it to like really break it down,
Of
but
course.
it just sucks. It sucks so much.
You've also changed your composition heading into Split. Split was a map that cost you guys when you were playing at Berlin, and we've seen pretty dramatic changes since then. TenZ no longer on the Rays; he's playing the Jet. You know, you've managed to pick up the Sky roll as well and play that for the team. How did you feel like the composition worked? Did you feel like there was any issues on that front, or is it purely the execution?
No, I don't think it was our comp or our roles necessarily. You know, Sky, I look at it similar to Sova. You know, gathering intel, setting up people. Um, it's kind of like I knew I had to fully jump into that role. Like obviously before we had a bit of role conflict. Like, you know, me and Tyson trading Jet on certain maps. It didn't really make sense. Like we needed a good Sova, and so I decided to fully take up on that role, and give it away. And then, like I know we lost, but like, or people are saying like stuff about certain agents, but um I didn't feel uncomfortable with a role on Sky. I feel like it fell apart in our communication and like teamwork. You know, we were criticized heavily during Berlin Masters 3 about like playing off meta comp, not playing the meta, whatever, sticking to the stuff that we used to. So then we really grinded. We really grinded like stuff that we knew during Masters 3 that these were more meta comps and this is how we wanted to play, but we just didn't implement it in time. And we figured that, you know, through the practices leading up to champions, we were actually really comfortable on each individual agent. Like we were playing tons of scrims, grinding ranked on these agents, and I don't think it was people being uncomfortable. I think that no matter the agents we played, we failed at like the most basic level.
One of the players that had a pretty poor stat line that I know people are reading into because I've seen the immediate Twitter comments, and in fact, a tweet from himself, from TenZ, saying that he just didn't perform when the pressure was on. He ended, I think, Split with 9 kills. He goes like 1 for 7 in terms of first kills to first deaths. Even though he was on Jet, which, I mean, usually his Jet is fantastic, one of the absolute best in the world. Could you get that sense from him when you were playing the game? Did it feel like he needed something extra to be able to get into it in that final map?
Yeah, I do think that, like, you know, things weren't going his way, and I know as a Jet player, like it kind of hurts your confidence when, you know, you try to take certain plays and they push you off, and they're doing a really good job at countering his op in certain situations. And, you know, obviously, like, we just need to, like, you know, pick him up, grind through it, like help offer like, hey, maybe you should do this or this. You know, unfortunately it doesn't work out. I hope people don't read into it too much, because I remember like during Berlin people were like, oh, why are you taking Jet away from TenZ? And like I fully take up this role and they're like, oh, why is TenZ on Jet? Like, I
Sure.
still think Jet is the best duelist, and I still think people overrate Raze a little bit. And like we could have made it work with Jet like the way we had in mind. um and it wasn't necessarily that. I think just uh like individually we just kind of failed.
My last question is just about kind of the future for Sentinels too. I know it's very early to talk about that, but you had a comment on stream that a lot of people have been discussing where you were talking about like a last run or something along those lines. Is there any idea for you what 2022 looks like, either for yourself or for Sentinels?
Personally, I don't know yet. Like, it's not like I would ever push for a roster change. I still think that like we're a great team. You know, people are like speculating, oh, we should make roster changes, but I don't I don't think we're at that point yet. Nobody's gotten like complacent. We all give it our all when it comes to back time. As for me, I guess you just have to see. Obviously, there's some like big decisions to be made and stuff, so we'll see.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Shahzam. I wish you all the best of luck in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.